Folk is not and should not be viewed as a news source. Any names, places, or likenesses mentioned are purely fictional, and any information discussed is purely speculative. Guest opinions are their own and do not reflect those of anyone else. Where in the Folk is not responsible for content accuracy of any stories that are told or what people do with these stories. This show is vulgar, sometimes graphic, and due to its content, it should not be viewed by anyone, actually.
Welcome to another episode of Where in the Folk. I hope everybody's had a great week. I know mine's been tremendous.
yeah, mine too.
Okay.
Splendid.
I'm glad it's been tremendous.
That's a really good
one. Good.
I stay heavily medicated for mental health issues now. But I hope everybody's had a good week for real. And welcome to another episode of Where in the Folk, where we cover everything that you might not hear on the mainstream. I did notice that you didn't put on here I'd literally just seen it about 3 seconds before we went live, where they said that the government found the Ark of the Covenant through remote viewing.
Oh yeah. I saw that.
I like to look more into that. I literally just seen that. What's up, Easy Mac?
Well, if we're doing
Going down, Linda.
If we're doing a show tomorrow, maybe we can talk a little bit more about it.
Absolutely. We need to figure out which one we're going to do tomorrow, because we are doing a show tomorrow. And totally told me to pick, and I never did. But
Landa, if you wanted to blow $10,000, I could have given you way more fun stuff. Might not have been more useful, but it would have been more fun.
10 G's on plumbing.
Is that what she said? $10,000?
Yeah.
Plumbing.
Yes.
Shoot.
That's nuts.
Mm-hmm.
I hate to hear that. I would have done it for 5. But what are we going to talk about to get started on tonight? Who wants to start with the Friday Feel Good? You want to cover it, Landa? Oh, not Landa.
Landa.
She could call if she wanted. So police are hunting for 4 suspects who used 2 pythons to distract a cashier before stealing $400 worth of CBD oil from a petroleum station. So the CCTV footage shows the cashier speaking to two of the suspects, a man and a woman, after they approached the counter of the Citgo in Madison County, Tennessee. The man is holding a curled up ball python as the woman strokes it. At one stage, the male suspect places the reptile on the counter as the woman appears to talk to someone off camera. The man then dangles a second ball python over the counter before the video cuts out. Just for the record, ball pythons are not venomous constrictors. They're native to Africa, grow about 3 feet maximum. So the CCTV footage has been shared online by 731 Crime Shoppers, a nonprofit organization in Tennessee which helps police locate wanted suspects. They said that there are 4 suspects, 2 black men and 2 black women. They sell $400 of CBD oil before leaving in a black 4-door saloon car. I'm not sure what it is. Okay.
What the hell's a saloon car?
I don't know. Y'all gonna have to look that up. But anyway, the nonprofit did add that the vehicle's boot was tied with bungee cords, and they ended with #morons.
#morons.
I bet that's supposed to be a sedan car.
Yeah, probably.
Cool.
But you never know. I mean, maybe they were bungeeing down the saloon back there.
Yeah. Hey, when he first said saloon car, I thought it was like a 1934 like Ford, like one of them old gangster cars. That would have been fun.
Oh yeah. But yes, I agree that that's they're animals just like anything else.
I mean, CBD oil can run pretty high. Like, how many bottles do you think they actually stole that $400 worth?
It depends. It was a service station, so they probably got a lot of them. You know, the CBD oil in most service stations isn't the same quality as if you go to the shop. They were from Tennessee, Easy Mac.
Madison County, Tennessee. Huh.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
we were trying to be proper and use our real English.
I mean, that's a pretty good idea. Take snakes in there. Everybody loves snakes.
I was going to say, but they didn't specify. I wonder if the person behind the counter was fascinated by the snakes, or if they were like terrifying somebody with it.
They were definitely intrigued. Like, what kind of snake's that? Let me get that snake. And somebody else was just snaking the CBD oil. I mean, that's a pretty smooth crime, but CBD oil. What do you want to do? Go to sleep.
At least I say go in and get you some gummies from the weed shop. You know,
maybe it was the good stuff.
Yeah. And it may have been. I mean, I'm not going to say that there's not good stuff in some service stations, but the ones around here, if it's in the service station, just don't.
I've tried CBD twice in my life, and both times within 15 minutes, I saw logs.
The boot.
And I woke up with the worst headache of my life. I don't know why.
Yeah.
Doesn't do me good.
Yeah. Somebody gave me some to try for migraines one time, and it just didn't really do much of anything for me.
Yeah, that's why I tried it. It let me sleep through the migraine off, but I still woke up with a extreme headache.
Did you all see the Morgana sent me this too, the mystery spiral that was over Britain this week?
That was crazy.
Yeah, it was crazy. It says they were left starstruck after a mysterious spinning bluish white spiral was spotted in the sky. Actually, UFO hashtags and stuff were trending again because of this, but they are summing this up to be another SpaceX rocket. But these pictures are way different than the other SpaceX firmament hits, if you will. Looks much different. So, yeah.
Yeah, that's when I first saw it. It threw me when I started reading and it said it was SpaceX. I'm like, really?
Yeah. It says that okay, here's the explanation. The light blue spiral is formed when excess fuel that has been released from the fast spinning rockets turn to ice and reflects sunlight in the upper atmosphere, giving it otherworldly gleam before turning water vapor. SpaceX's Falcon 9 rocket launched for the U.S. government's classified NROL 69 mission appears to be the cause. The company often launches rockets that create visual effects when frozen fuel is expelled into the atmosphere. This is given, is this not given chemtrails? Like how they explained away chemtrails as like contrails for a long time?
I mean, SpaceX looks wild, but this looks weird.
The darker picture looks even wilder to me. Like and for this to be actual pictures, it's just nuts and easy. You're right. It would be easy to include some kind of flight radar with some of these stories. But they're saying that I guess it's because it was a classified mission.
This looks like a mouth.
Yeah, it kind of does, doesn't it?
Yeah, that's weird. Huh.
Maybe that's a mouth of Cthulhu or something.
That's what it is. That's a ghost of some kind of space demon. That's what that is. That's wild.
Landis said it looks like a little plastic thing you put on old 45s to play on your record.
Yeah, it kind of does have that look too. But I have yet to find, since this has released, a picture of SpaceX hitting the atmosphere besides that one.
Huh.
I got a different light for the background so that I could have my own firmament.
Hey, I kind of have that something similar on my wall. It's just
adorable.
Yeah. Yeah, it plays ocean sounds too.
Oh, nice.
So if we're ever bored, we can just sit here and listen to the ocean.
That's right.
Ocean sounds are not soothing to me. Some people say they are, but they're not to me.
That's the sound of Leviathan and Megalodon and God knows what else.
Unpopular opinion. I'd rather be kicked in the face than go back to the beach ever in my life.
I wouldn't go that far. I don't mind the beach.
I hate the beach. I hate it so much.
I love the beach in the fall and the winter. I hate the beach in the summer.
If you all didn't get to play it last week, Cecil, if you would cue up that JFK video from James Lee. James Lee's the dude that we watch a lot of his conspiracy videos or hot takes. Mm-hmm. I thought this was an interesting perspective. Drinking.
Oh, what the hell?
Everything is.
There we go. Yeah. I thought his take is crazy. We can talk about it after.
All right.
Makes sense now. Trump releasing the JFK files today. Let me explain. So on Monday afternoon, Trump is at the Kennedy Center, and he announces that on Tuesday, he is going to be releasing, quote unquote, all of the JFK files. Tuesday comes along, and the files do indeed get released. People were pumped. There was this document being shared widely, pointing to maybe the CIA being involved, although I'm not really 100% sure if this was a new document or not. Also pretty sure that this was already public knowledge. There are also a few other documents that confirm that the CIA works closely with Israeli intelligence, which is, once again, not new information. We already know this. So yeah, overall, as expected, it was a bit of a nothing burger. The conclusion still, Kennedy was killed as he traveled in an open car motorcade through Dallas by a single gunman, Lee Harvey Oswald, on November 22nd, 1963. So why do I say all of this is making sense? It's all going according to plan. Well, because as we were all too busy looking at the files, this happened. Gaza experienced its deadliest day since November 2023 on Tuesday as Israel resumed the war with a deadly wave of airstrikes on the enclave. More than 400 fatalities. Now here's where the plot thickens a little. The White House confirmed to the media that they were consulted prior to those strikes happening on Tuesday. It also came out that Trump's promise to release the JFK files set off a, quote, all-night scramble, which would sort of indicate that they weren't ready to release these files quite yet. In other words, his announcement came as a bit of a surprise. A ploy to distract, perhaps, from the fact that we're about to get dragged into possibly another war on behalf of our closest ally. Yeah, because we found out today, 3 more aircraft carriers are headed over to the Middle East. But yet, we got a declassified document that says that JFK Jr. called Joe Biden a quote-unquote traitor. I don't know. This is just my take. Maybe I'm too cynical. You tell me. Everything is starting to make sense.
Yeah, so there's a lot to unpack there, right? But I was disappointed in what came out. Well, yeah, I saw what you said too, Easy. I was expecting for them to scramble on documents like that. I was expecting something like, Mossad killed JFK or, definitively that it was a subcategory of folks in the CIA that took him out for political purposes or his adversaries or, right. Johnson took him out or, you name it. There were so many reasons. He really didn't do himself any favors in making people like him. But it was coincidental that the same day that he announced that, he secretly kind of gave the nod for them to continue bombing the hell out of those people. Which is classic for any president, really, I think, is to kind of cover up the genocides. Of any people.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of like the magician's trick of the politician, you know what I mean? Like, hey, watch this hand over here, but we're doing this over here. That's what they always do. They do that for literally everything.
Yeah.
Yep.
And it's kind of messed up because you would hope that at least one of them would be a little bit more transparent. It's never going to happen.
Well, the stuff, at least
they're as transparent as mud.
At least some interesting stuff came out about MLK and the whole. I know we played that video about, Malcolm X, the last free for all Saturday that we had, but I I just think it's crazy that they can dig up some extra truths
Yeah.
on MLK, but can't give us the extra truths on JFK.
Oh yeah, like when they all of a sudden announced that, hey, spaceships are real.
Yeah.
There was a crash, So
yeah. It is a distraction. I was wondering the other day. I was just sitting around wondering whatever happened with the Miami Mall incident. That went really quiet after it all happened, and people were talking about interdimensional beings and everything else being there, and the military being called in for what was allegedly just a person with a gun.
Mm-hmm.
Where was the military in Las Vegas?
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean? I don't know. That's definitely a whataboutism, but still.
That doesn't make it any less true, though.
Mm-hmm.
But I guess we can get out of the depressing stuff and get into some cool stuff with the pyramids. I know you guys talked about the underground structures. In my opinion, and we can talk about it more after Cecil plays this, but in my opinion, what they found under the pyramids completely erases the possibility of Egyptians building the pyramids.
Maybe. Let's see what you got here.
So because this discovery is so new, a to-scale diagram does not exist yet. So I made one because I didn't like the graphics that have been circulating online. They don't really show you exactly what is happening, but I built this diagram to show you the exact scale of how insane this discovery is. So up here you have Khafre's pyramid. It stands 471 feet tall by something wide. I forget what it is, but I looked it up. It's exact. The columns themselves, both their placement and their thickness, I don't know for sure. I haven't seen anything that gave precise dimensions. Also, there's 8 of them, so there's an identical set behind. And there's some sort of spiraling structure that's like a coil that goes all the way up all of them. They have no idea what they are, if they're hollow tubes on the outside or a staircase or what it is. But anyway, and the cubes that they go into, they're also exactly precise, not their location, but their actual size. They're 250 feet by 250 feet. You can see here, this line here is 2,000 feet underground. So, the cubes, the columns run down to 2,125 feet is where these cubes begin, which are 250 feet by 250 feet. So that's what we're looking at. And then
I think you can kill it there.
Really, really crazy.
So these are almost, those cubes that you were just looking at are almost a half a mile under the pyramids.
Yeah. I've got a new theory. What if this is a statue that has fell over and lain on its back, and it's it does look phallic in a way. No, I'm joking. Yeah. But honestly, I mean, what could it be? Because I mean, they use ground penetrating radar, some kind of like what did they use for it exactly to determine what's under there? I forget.
Some kind of, yeah. And Easy Mac, that's kind of what I wondered too, is because they say that there are coils going up each one of the columns.
Well, some people were saying that it's a staircase, like a spiral staircase. But I mean, if it's a staircase, if it's a staircase, that means that it was exposed at one time.
Well, they've never found a body. Yeah, like they by all accounts, the pyramids weren't built to be like sarcophagi for pharaohs or anything like that.
We talked about that. We did touch on that. The fact that, they always say that they were built for these, pharaohs, and they've never found a body in one.
Do y'all remember, it's been like 5 years ago at this point when this graphic started going viral, like way before any of this.
Well, my thing about it is it could be a couple different things to me. Yeah, I've seen that a lot.
Like that the pyramids are just the top of an obelisk was one of the theories.
I mean, to me, it could be, which I told you this the other day when this first came out, that it could be like a shelter, like a doomsday shelter, or it could be, generating power.
If the staircase is connected, though, somebody would have found them by now.
Yeah,
like if it were a staircase, not some sort of conductor spiral, like it almost looks like DNA.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the pyramids, they probably have secret rooms. So, I mean, the staircase could be there and people just don't know where it's at. It could be something to conduct energy. If you hold true to the Tartarian theory, then it definitely is something there. Because at one time, it could go to that top. You know what
I mean? The dogs are going wild.
The pizza guy's here.
But I mean, I want them to dig, but they're never going to be allowed to dig.
Egypt isn't going to let anybody do anything that is going to alter their history of being, Egyptians being sort of the dominant culture around there. But that would totally, I mean, they're a half a mile under the ground. If they got to that, like if they drilled a borehole or something and could carbon date the stone down there, or, some people argue that carbon dating isn't accurate, but if they could somehow date the stone that's down there, it may like debunk the whole Egyptian pyramid theory.
And I mean, this right here kind of holds true to Standeo's theory, of the flood that washed over the Sahara Desert and filled it with, sand, sediment.
Well, and for those of you that don't know, the Sphinx even has a lot of evidence of a long period of water being on it.
Yeah, water erosion.
And there's also pretty strong evidence that the face was recarved, which plays back into the Tartary stuff that Cecil was talking about. Because if you go and look up the Tartary flag, their quote unquote mascot was the griffin, and people think that that's what the Sphinx originally was, and it was recarved at some point.
Yeah, exactly. And we live in such a weird time now that they're coming out with things like this. Like today, they're like, "Oh, the government found the Ark of the Covenant through remote view, and the structure that goes down a half mile below them." Oh yeah, UFOs are real. Like it's such a weird time. It's really strange. And my fear is, I feel like when things like this start getting released, of course, everything else is happening in the background, but I feel like we approach a reset when things like this happen.
Well, you gotta, I don't know, like if 2030 is the plan, we keep seeing that number in a lot of articles, like that with the city developments and everything else, the burning cities.
Yeah.
If 2030 is the number, they're going to have to escalate this really quick in the next 5 years. Between, famine, money, war, gold, the whole gold thing that came up that, I don't know that has there been any developments that you all have heard on the, checking to see if the gold's actually there?
No.
In Fort Knox?
No.
I would be willing to bet that went to the Crown after JFK was assassinated.
Well, they were shipping back tons of gold through New York whenever that was first coming around. Like there was a lot of gold coming through New York from across overseas. I'm assuming they were trying to stockpile, and then they's like, "Yeah, don't worry about it," because like our dollar isn't backed by the gold standard anymore. So what's it matter? It's all printed money anyway. Like
Easy. I don't know. Like I like to think I'm definitely a spiritual person, but I've never met a psychic that could really blow my socks off.
No.
And there's a dude though, the dude that was making his rounds from the Monroe Institute that was on every big podcast. He was on like Rogan and the Sean Ryan stuff, or the CIA show, if you want to call it that. But what's his name? His last name's McMonagle. And they're okay. You take away like the real factor, like, so take away that they're trying to say it's real. This story that he's telling would be an excellent movie or novel. Mm-hmm. So he was a grunt in Vietnam, and he's probably Stan Deo's age. Yeah. He was a grunt in Vietnam. He had a near-death experience where he was dead for so many minutes. And when he came back to is when he started developing these remote viewing capabilities from that near-death experience. He said he left his body and was walking around and all that and started proving himself. And then he got recruited into all these dark operational projects doing this kind of thing. And it gets super crazy to listen to him talk. But like I said, if you take away that they're trying to say that it's real, it at the very core of it is super entertaining. So I would, he's all over the place. You could probably YouTube it or find him on Rumble or BitChute if you're watching there. But McMonagle, if you just put in like McMonagle Monroe Institute, you'll find him.
Yeah. I don't know, man. It's a strange world.
It is a strange world. Well, and it gets even crazier like that. We've got our remote viewers, and then these other countries have their remote viewers, and their remote viewers are fighting our remote viewers on a spiritual plane. And one of the evidences that he mentions is, I guess he tagged a USSR secret sub with his remote viewing. And his claim to fame, the reason that he's everywhere is he's the only person to ever receive a military medal for remote viewing. So, do with that what you will, like whether it's a PSYOP or...
I don't know why, but whenever you said that we were fighting in a different plane, like remote viewing, it reminds me of Aleister Crowley whenever he was fighting the people in the temple. Like there's out there like zoo, zoo. Like fighting each other with magic.
Yeah. I was trying to think of what else. I guess since we're on Egypt, there was a submarine incident in Egypt this week. A tourist submarine sank, killing 6 people. It said it was taking 45 tourists on an underwater cruise of the coral reefs in the Red Sea, and it sank. I thought subs were meant to sink, but the remaining tourists, more than 24, were injured, but they were all rescued. The reason for the sinking was not immediately known. The Russian consulate said it took place about 1,000 meters offshore. Submarine was carrying, we already said that, 45 tourists. Let's see, all 6 people who died were Russian, and that 29 of the 39 tourists rescued were injured and taken to the hospital. Sorry, the article itself is poorly written, but it said that the submarine runs tours lasting about 40 minutes underwater, cruising at 65 to 80 feet. But yeah, nobody immediately responded to phone calls, and that it could impact the tourism sector of Egypt.
Yeah, that's not good. I hate to hear that.
Yeah, that's horrible. But I'm going to tell you what, and I'm, as a general rule, adventurous, I guess is a good word, but you could not put me on a plane, a rocket, or a submarine right now.
I really, really want one of those personal submarines. They're $400,000, so if you want to start a GoFundMe for it, I would love to have one of those. One of those personal subs. I'll take that. I'll take that in Laurel Lake tomorrow. But yeah, I would do a submarine way before I do like a spaceship, probably.
Well, that's there's
I don't feel
there's
like
a big cryptocurrency guy from Malta, I think it is going up. Him and 5 other people. Only one of them, from what I read, is actually qualified to in any way man a spaceship. But they're going up on SpaceX to fly above the poles because that's evidently never been done. And you know, SpaceX doesn't have a real good record lately for launches.
Yeah.
You know, I would just be very, very, very hesitant about jumping on one.
Yeah, it'd be. I don't know. I think I'd rather do a sub. Now, if they broke out a PlayStation controller, I'd probably be like, let me off this thing. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I mean, nobody's batting 1,000 though, because the other article that Morgana sent is that a United Airlines flight to China had to divert back to San Francisco after the pilot forgot his passport.
Yeah.
It extended their overall time by 6 hours, and guess what United did for them?
What?
They gave them a meal voucher for their inconvenience.
It sure did. Yeah.
Does a pilot really need a passport? Like, I guess
for a flight that long, there's probably like an overnighter.
Yeah.
So, I'd be throwing hands if it costs 6 hours in time.
Mm-hmm.
That's a little different than, man, I forgot my wallet at the house. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, I'm assuming this isn't his first flight, so he probably knows everything he should have with him at all times as a pilot. And I would think passport would be in that.
He probably got smashed before you got on the plane.
Probably. I mean, then they need to hang it around his neck on a little lanyard and make him wear it if he can't remember it. So.
Did you see, this wasn't on the list, but apparently, Morgana, do you know about Mississippi getting rid of taxes today? Did that happen?
I don't know if that happened or not. They've been talking about it for several years. But my thing is, okay, what kind of taxes are you getting rid of?
It said income, maybe income tax. I can't remember.
But I would state.
There's some states already that don't have income tax, but
right, and we've discussed the fact that we shouldn't be paying income tax any damn way. But
true.
They've because they got rid of inspection stickers a few years ago, so that's going to save me $5 whole a year. If they decide to get rid of income tax, I mean, that will save me some more money, but where are they going to make it up? Because they're going to either put it on groceries or clothing. Yeah. It's going to be something else. They're going to have to make up for it.
I do grocery shopping on Thursdays usually, and I noticed. So those rice packs you can put in the microwave that's like steam packs or whatever.
No, yeah. I'm not lazy.
You have a rice maker?
Oh yes.
Yeah,
we have a rice maker too, but I was looking at the packs because I'm like, well, I just want something for meal prep that I'm not going to have to sit there and wait on rice to cook. Mm-hmm. And I was going to get 2 packs. They were $1.59 each, and right next to them, so that's the Kroger brand, and right next to them is Kroger's Simple Truth brand, and they were almost $5 each. And I was like, they were both Jasmine. One was $1.50, one was almost $5. So I look at the back of them. The difference is the only ingredient in the $5 one was rice, and in the $1.50 one there were seed oils and phosphates. And I'm like, how can it cost more money for less stuff in your food?
Mm-hmm.
That's how it is, though. I mean, you pay more for cleaner food. It's kind of shitty.
No,
yes, it is.
It should be illegal.
Yeah, it's weird why they do that. Because I guess the other one has fillers, and you eat less of it. I don't know.
They were both the same weight.
Yeah.
I don't know, dude. But
Yeah, I've never understood either. Well, I went down a rabbit hole earlier this week too about grocery stores, and they were talking about we'll use cereal because that's the first one that I came across was you've got Cheerios, $6 a box. You've got Great Value, the same size, same weight, $2 a box. Walmart has a deal with General Mills. It's the same cereal. It's just put in a Great Value box. And it is absolutely amazing how many brands are like that.
Oh yeah.
Because
Yep.
and there are certain things that, I'm never going to change on. There are certain things that I'll buy the store brand without a second thought, But
I'm not going to say I know somebody that worked in the cookie factory that's seen that firsthand. The generic sandwich cookies come off the same line that the brand name sandwich cookies come off of.
did we say hello to Nick? I saw Nick in the comments a minute ago. Hey, Nick.
I thought I said hello,
Hey, Nick.
So maybe I'll hit on this one. I included this because of my hatred for PG&E. So, and it's really at this point all the big energy companies, but PG&E has to get their rate hikes approved by the states of like California, Washington, Oregon. I think it's all the way down through there.
Yeah.
But on Thursday, they asked state regulators to charge customers more so shareholders can profit more.
Yeah.
It's usually a process that happens every 3 years, but this is the 7th time in a year that they're about to approve another rate hike on the people living out there. And I know somebody that lives in California, and they're in constant blackouts throughout the summer, especially. Not only that, they're only allowed to water their yard so much. But it says even though PG&E customers pay some of the highest energy bills in the country, and even though PG&E has shattered profit records, the utility company is now asking I guess this is in California Public Utilities Commission to raise rates so it can pay investors more. It's asking for an 11.3% return for investors, up a percentage point. 100 basis points is crazy, by the way. Like banks don't even roll at those kind of margins, but they reported $2.47 billion of profit for 2024.
That's not much.
Shattering records for a second year in a row. This 7th hike would raise the bills an average of $550 again per month. First and foremost, PG&E is increasing their rates to benefit their shareholders. I guess this is a state senator, Dr. Aisha Wahab said. This past year alone, they made $2.4 billion in pure profits, and $86 million goes directly to the shareholders via dividends. I guess they're trying to, I'll not read all of this, but there's people that are getting pissed off at the fact that they just keep raising rates. But the average residential customer right now paid about $440 more last year than 2023. And let me see. There was another part in here that I was going to point out. Let's not forget that PG&E is probably the cause of all of these wildfires.
Oh yeah.
And their infrastructure sucks. That's very well known. But yeah, if our energy company raised our rates 7 times in a year,
I'd freak out.
There wouldn't be an energy company left. I'm just like, what are the people doing there? Like people should be out in the streets.
They are busy trying to keep their houses from burning down.
Yeah.
Well, maybe that's it. Maybe it's we raised rates here. Oh, but what about this wildfire? You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. Especially when they're very possibly a big part of the reason that there are wildfires.
there is a theory that those smart meters are what was leading to that
exploding.
Yeah.
There was tons of videos before the chain of events of like transformers exploding and stuff, like and people, for at least for the last 15 years that I've been aware of PG&E, every time there's a huge wildfire, there's some video of some electrical stuff malfunctioning.
It amazes me how many of these corporations like them, like, the food manufacturers and everything, that keep breaking record profits since COVID. I would say since COVID, it's almost a yearly thing, oh, wow, well, we're all struggling, but they're doing record profits.
Yeah. Well, yeah, there's a big problem if their profit margin is $2.4 billion. Like, I get wanting to make a profit as any kind of company, but if you're a public service company, like electric, like a basic human need, you should not be increasing prices to get more money for your shareholders. I'm sorry.
No. We have a co-op, and everybody around here bitches about Mississippi Power because that's the big one.
Yeah.
But we have a co-op, so I actually get a check every year, and it'll be, okay, here are your dividends from last year, 7 years ago, and 14 years ago. And it's usually under $100. But at least I'm getting something back, you know. And we don't have a lot of unexplainable, unnecessary power hikes. But like I said, we get to vote on the board members and the whole thing. Everybody that's a member does.
You want to hear something really crazy though? I've got the exact same electric company I had when I lived in the county over, and my electric bill used to be about $500 to $600 a month over there.
Oh my God!
Yeah, and over here it's like $100, $150 a month.
Well, your electric bill, as cold as you keep your house in California, would be like $2,000.
I was going to say mine usually runs between $2 and $3 a month.
That's crazy.
Yeah, but now it's probably 60 degrees in here right now.
That's crazy. That's wild, actually.
That's probably about that.
Yeah, we're warm natured people. So.
Billy keeps his house at 150 degrees.
Well, when my son's girlfriend's over, she's usually walking around with a big blanket, wrapped around her. She weighs about 12 pounds, so she doesn't.
Our house is the exact same temperature 365 days a year.
If you were at Tully's house and you open the door, if it's 80 degrees outside, you'll see, like, how when you blow hot air in the cold mist, that's what happens to the air outside when you open fucking hot there.
No. My AC stays when I'm gone on 72. When I'm home, I drop it down to about 68.
I think that's about all we got time for
tonight. Yeah.
We're gonna be back tomorrow.
So I guess we'll go ahead and let everybody decide what they want to do tomorrow. Do you guys want to run for an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, 4 hours? Because that really depends on what we're going to talk about.
Yeah, that's me easy. Our house is 74 all year round.
Mine is 65. Except in the winter, it gets down to like 30 in here sometimes.
Oh, well, that's, we actually got some cold weather here this year, which is very rare. But I remember waking up going, damn, why is it so damn cold in here? And Mo's like, you didn't turn the heat on, did you? And it was like 48 degrees in my house. And I'm like, okay, yeah, it's a little bit chilly this morning.
So we could do Killdozer. That would be the shortest. We could go into the Skinwalker Ranch. That would be pretty long.
Skinwalker would be cool though. We could talk about Blind Frog while we're at it a little bit.
We could do Kids Who Kill, but that's a multiple part thing because there's like a bunch on there. We could do the Paranormal Third Reich, which will take hours. Well, which one do you guys want to do?
Let's do Skinwalker Ranch.
All right.
That's
Yep.
That's a innocent enough topic. I think we can get off on a bunch of tangents.
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
Innocent.
tomorrow we are doing Skinwalker Ranch starting in the 1600s up to modern day. So we're gonna do the history of Skinwalker Ranch tomorrow. And it is called The Rift at Skinwalker Ranch.
Okay. Yeah. at 8 p.m. Eastern.
At 8 p.m. Eastern. So tonight on Weird Awakenings, we are covering mysterious diseases. I think I might have a couple.
Yeah, we can talk about that too.
Yeah. And that's coming up here at 8 o'clock Eastern. If you don't mind, slide on over to Weird Realities Network on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter. I believe that's everywhere.
That's it.
Yeah. And go ahead and hit like and subscribe for us. Give us a little something.
If you don't already follow us on Rumble, subscribe on there. If you don't follow us on BitChute and you're catching this, follow us on there. Twitter, we post show updates. I retweet crazy stuff that I see sometimes throughout the week. So follow us on Twitter if you don't already.
And hop over to Spotify and give us a little follow on there just to help us out a little bit, or Apple, or wherever you listen to podcasts that's not got video. We're literally everywhere.
We'll take call-ins tomorrow too if anybody wants to call in on Skinwalker Ranch.
Yep. So thank you all for watching us, and don't check your closets because thank you for watching us because we are watching you.
Peace.